Hey everyone, and welcome to Top Think. Today, we're going to learn about how to develop an insane work ethic. Now, let's begin. Number 1, the weekly flood. Perseverance is a key component of any powerful work ethic. It drives you through failure, it nurtures your belief in yourself, and it wages that never-ending war against your own bad habits. But perseverance comes in bits and pieces. Each new challenge that you face in life, well, it offers you a choice. You can either give up or you can fight for your right to achieve. Choosing to fight, whether you win or lose, will leave you with a little more perseverance than you had before. You'll be that much more driven, that much more persistent in the face of failure, because ultimately it's the fight that matters most, not how much praise you earn, not the amount of money that you make. A strong work ethic stems from that simple decision to fight back. So, what's the best way to build this kind of a persevering mindset? You need to create opportunities to fight for your success. One strategy that you can consistently use is nicknamed the burnout day, but I like to call it the weekly flood. So, one day out of every week, you should work longer and harder than any of the others. Dive deeper into your projects, tackle challenges that scare you, force yourself to concentrate for hours at a time. The weekly flood is designed to stretch your work ethic. It forces you to be persistent and driven because you'll start slowing down, you'll feel like quitting, and you'll lose motivation. But each time you rally and summon the energy to keep fighting, your work ethic will get better. After you survive each flood, you'll gain more perseverance, more pride, and more self-discipline. So, when's the best time for your weekly flood? Some people position theirs in the middle of the week when they're the most motivated. Others save it for the end so they can get a couple of days rest afterwards. It really doesn't matter when you do it, as long as you're challenging your work ethic every single week. Number 2, the +1 routine. Do you always go the extra mile? Surpassing people's expectations is a telltale sign of a strong work ethic. If you're disciplined and motivated, then you know that a good work ethic requires more than just efficiency. It's not about rushing through your work as fast as possible. You should also care deeply about the quality of your work. If you have an awesome work ethic, you're committed to the excellence of your product. And believe me, it shows. People will notice your commitment during every project you lead and every presentation you give. No matter how big or small something is, they'll know that you're willing to go the extra mile. So, how do you incorporate this passion for both quality and quantity into your work? Well, it takes time for anyone to develop enough self-discipline. You may need years of practice before this passion feels intrinsic and automatic, but everyone has to start somewhere. So, to improve your work ethic, just try using the +1 routine. Each time you're finishing a project, challenge yourself to add one more thing. Incorporate one new detail that will make your argument stronger. Design one new graphic that will make your presentation more interesting. Start by satisfying their expectations, and then push your work one step further. It helps to think of every project like a race. Imagine you're about to cross the finish line. You've been running for miles, and obviously you're exhausted. But as you get closer and closer to the end, you realize that it wasn't quite as tiring as you thought. In fact, you could probably run a little bit longer. That's where the +1 routine comes in handy. It's like moving the finish line just a tiny bit forward right before you cross it. That last part is especially important. So why is it so important to only move the finish line at the end of each project? Think about how you'd feel if you added extra work at the beginning. You'd lose motivation, right? It would feel like you're just making things harder for yourself. But if you wait until the end, you'll be excited about finishing. You already feel proud of yourself for making it so far. That sense of accomplishment will leave you overflowing with excess motivation. You can take advantage of that natural burst of energy by pushing yourself a few feet further. And over time, you'll get in the habit of going the extra mile. You'll start pushing yourself more and more each time, and the quality of your work will skyrocket. There's also no one that employers like more than someone with initiative. Use the +1 routine to discover that powerful initiative for yourself. Number 3. Creation versus critique. Self-critique is a valuable tool, especially when you invest more time into the quality of your work. Critique helps you distinguish the good from the bad, the careful from the careless. You should use self-critique to mold your work into something you can be proud of. Oh, but sometimes your critiques get in the way of your productivity. You spend more time destroying your ideas than you do creating them. So it's very important to learn when it's time to build your work up and when it's time to pick your work apart. That's where this idea of creation versus critique comes from. How do you find the right balance between these important parts of productivity? Well, it turns out the best thing for your work ethic is to separate creation and critique as much as you can. Okay, let's say you're writing a pitch for a big idea that you've been mulling over. You want your speech to be about 10 minutes long, but after a full day at work, you haven't even gotten past the first sentence. Every time you write something down, you find some reason why it doesn't work. You've had about a dozen promising ideas, but none of them stuck. The problem is, you're creating and critiquing at the same time. You're trying to craft the perfect version of each sentence before you move on to the next one, and that process is slowing you down to a snail's pace. Instead, set aside time to focus solely on creation. Write as much of the pitch as you can think of. Get excited. Use your instincts. It doesn't matter if it's messy or confusing. Just get those ideas down on paper. The goal here is to create as much as you can without stopping or analyzing what you're doing. Yeah, that part comes later. For now, keep brainstorming until you feel like you've captured the gist of everything you want to say. When you're done, it's time for self-critique. Stop creating or thinking of new ideas. Just focus on touching up all the content that you already have. Let yourself worry about the tiny details then. Identify all the holes in your work. Go back and make sure you like all the concepts that you wrote down. After you've done a bit of cleanup, switch back to creation and fill in all those holes you found with new, exciting ideas. Then, just like before, go back for another round of critique. If you keep alternating like this, you'll find yourself being more productive than ever, and your work ethic will significantly improve. You're training yourself to stop being a perfectionist. Before, you were wasting hours of your time refining a single sentence, but now you're learning how to make real progress. Number 4. Productive diversions. Laziness strikes at the worst times, doesn't it? Whenever you're feeling frustrated or overwhelmed, a wave of laziness can completely ruin your productivity. Okay, let's say you're trying to study for a test, but there's one concept you just can't wrap your head around. You could do some additional research or call someone else from class, but all that frustration is making your TV seem extra appealing. So you decide to give your mind a break. It might seem like a good idea, but you're basically undoing all the progress that you made beforehand. These kinds of distractions destroy your motivation and derail your productive trains of thought. By the time you get back to work, you'll have to start all over, and you'll feel just as confused as you did before, if not more. So, when you're frustrated with something and desperate for a change of scenery, don't give your brain the chance to zone out. Focus on something else that's still productive. If you're studying, you might jump forward to a different chapter, or you could try to switch up your methods, like using flashcards in place of reading your notes. These productive diversions will preserve your strong work ethic. They train your brain to think its way out of frustrating situations instead of seeking short-term rewards like TV or social media. Productive diversions can also renew your excitement. You know how in a lot of TV dramas, a character will discover the answer to all their problems by doing something completely different? Maybe they're trying to solve this impossible case when, out of the blue, something their partner says gives them an idea. Well, productive diversions can inspire those kinds of ideas. They shift your perspective just enough to change the way you think. So when you're feeling lazy, use the right kind of diversions to foster your awesome work ethic. Hey, thank you for watching Top Think, and be sure to subscribe because more incredible content is on the way.